welcome, Louise. Starting with, you've led very unconventional life. Out of all the choices that you made, which is the one that feels like the a dream achieved moment for you? That's something that you are so happy and grateful that even though it was scary, even though it was inconvenient, you made that choice.
There's been a lot of those. The biggest one I would say is actually taking the leap into running my own business. And the reason I say that is because I lived in a yurt and I was a farmer. I farmed organic vegetables and knew I would never buy a home or be able to afford to give my children the life that I wanted to give them or to be able to even spend lots of time with them because I'd be too busy working all the time.
Yeah.
So making that decision to ultimately like, okay, this is scary. I have no idea how to do this. And I know that if I continue down this path, it's ultimately going to just like lead to a hard life. And so that decision has led me to, well, meeting awesome people like yourself, like, building this awesome community. Now I get to work from Thailand, which is incredible. I never thought this would ever be possible. I obviously awesome financial too, right? So there's all these different parts that the reward of going through that discomfort has been so incredible, despite the fear of moving away from everything that was familiar, which was farming and, staying in my little world. Yeah, that's definitely the biggest one, I'd say. And what's tough about those decisions is that typically when you make a really big decision, a big life decision, it's not just a quick one and done. It's never just as simple as, oh, I'm gonna quit my job and start something else, because there is so much friction between quitting the job and beginning the new identity. And that can take years. It did for me. It's literally been like 3 years doing this, and I'm only now starting to settle into it. And I believe that friction is the thing that keeps people in the fear, the same old status quo, right? But by making that decision and being willing to deal with the consequences, if you will, for 1, 2, 3 years, you can build a life that's way better just as long as you stick with it long enough, right? And that's the importance of community and having support and having guides and being able to self-regulate your emotions and your stress, is because that period is very challenging and you need support during that time.
Yeah. So well said. Yes. Transition moments can be very stressful. So you've started this business from scratch, and even just how you show up on LinkedIn, everything is really bold, courageous. And I feel like these are things that a lot of us dream of doing unconventional things, taking the road not taken. So how do you make this look so easy? All these transitions, like, what is the reasoning or what is the method that you use to make transitions seem fun and easy?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Shannon. So for me, I've always been the kind of person where I look for opportunity where other people aren't looking, or that's where I try to look for it. So for example, I needed to find a home to live in that was my own home, so I bought a yurt, right? Not everybody would do that. Or I wanted to start a business and I wanted to make video, and I saw nobody was making video on LinkedIn. So that's where I went for that, right? And for me, it's always a sense of following an inner like this inner compass that guides me, because it just feels good to do. So that's the first thing. But then the second thing, and this might be a little too much information, but I'm going to go here anyways because it's true, is that like we're all going to die, like we're all very aware of our mortality. And the way I'm very, like, I think about it on a daily basis. And the way I see it is, I'm going to die anyways. Why am I scared to do the thing that feels good? Like, if I have this inner compass guiding me to something that feels like it could be a better life, and my life is ultimately very short, why not just do the thing that feels good to do while I'm alive? And that is typically enough to help me get through any discomfort or pain that a transition, that often come through transitions, right? It's like, yeah, this is painful. Yes, this is awkward, and I'm going to die, and I know this is the right path for me. Does that make sense when I put it like that?
Yeah, that's interesting. You spoke about, having an inner guidance. So does it come during crisis points, or is it something that you are always keenly aware of?
That's a great question. It's funny. I've been noticing these patterns. What I see, ever heard the expression, the breakdown always comes before the breakthrough. Have you heard of that? So
Yeah.
I've been really noticing that a lot in my life, where if I have a day and I actually physically track my days, so I have a little Notion calendar where I have a green dot, a yellow dot, or a red dot. Green's good, yellow's okay, red is bad. And I notice the days that I have a red dot day, these are my breakdown days where everything feels terrible.
Yeah.
What I notice is that when I have one of those, some level of inspiration and direction or guidance is typically the result of that. This breakdown will happen. I'll go, everything's crashing. And then I'll have a realization, oh, it's crashing because this thing isn't in alignment with what I really want to be doing. So therefore, I should stop doing that thing and actually like move forward with what feels better, right? So I don't think it's a constant. I think it's more so seeing the value of the low points to help you be guided towards the high points.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like your low days kind of slow you down, make you pause enough to, listen to whatever is coming up for you at that moment. So you have this approach where you say, mess around and find out where you're going. And you're authentic. You show up as yourself. So what is your advice to someone who is wanting to be visible and themselves in their real life as well as in the online world? How can they do it without the fear of judgment or being laughed at or making mistakes?
Yeah, great question. So the reason why I'll feel judged or feel weird sharing these things is because what we're comparing ourselves to are experts who have been doing it for years and years and years, right? We see the Lara Acostas of the world. We see the Yasmin Alishas of the world, spouting off this awesome information, making $1 million companies, and we're not there yet. So we compare ourselves to these experts. And what that does is that you just, rather than create anything, you're stuck in comparison bias and this slow creep of dread of, I'm not good enough. I don't know what I'm talking about. Why would anybody listen to me? That's the thought that creeps in, right? So to get around this, what I did and what I recommend everybody does is come at it from the place of the experimenter rather than the place of the expert when you're first starting and trying to get visible, because nobody can take your experiments away from you, right? If you come at it saying, here's why I'm so good, I'm building $1 million business, but you're not really, you're just starting out, you're going to feel like a phony the whole time. But if you come at it from a place of, I'm going to run this experiment for the next 2 months where I'm going to reach out to 100 people a day or whatever it is, and I'm going to start a mini podcast like what you're doing. I'm going to start this podcast and I'm going to try to get in touch with 20 awesome business owners and ask them about their transformations. Nobody can take that experiment away from you. That's not you being the expert. That's you being the student and then sharing your learnings. If you're afraid of being judged, it means you're trying to show something that perhaps you haven't assumed that identity yet. And that's okay, because you can be the expert or you can be the experimenter and allow other students to learn alongside you. That's it. Does that make sense when I put it like that? That's what I did. It seemed to help.
Yeah, it's not easy to put yourself in the shoes of a student, but yeah, it all makes sense that we see ourselves as studying a subject and we are willing to experiment with it and see what it brings up.
It's based on your own experience, right? When we give these hard and fast rules to people, like you shouldn't be like this or you should be like this, that's the thing that creates tension, because now it feels like, who am I to tell people how they should and shouldn't behave? But when you say, this is my experience, this is what I went through, this is the outcome of that experience, nobody can take that away from you, right? And now you're standing in your power of your own experience and who you are, right? And that is the most sovereign, beautiful, powerful thing you can possibly do. And that's what's going to help you build the life of your dreams.
Beautiful. I love that. And I'm not going to ask you any more questions because that was such a beautiful way to frame, transformations and a life that you love. And thank you, Louis, for your time. And
No.
yeah, awesome.